Hello, welcome to Scrap Time. My name is Christine, and in this video I'm going to be making a holiday card using a variety of products from Wendy Vecchi. In this video I'm going to show you how to make this card for the holidays, and really it's using a lot of items that aren't necessarily holiday stamps. So you can, just to show you how, look at your stamps, and you don't have to necessarily buy holiday stamps to make holiday cards. I'm going to stamp the background. I'm going to add this stamp detail here. Then we're going to put on the little ring with Nuvo crystal dots and add on our matte minis and of course our greeting. So let's get started. So for the background, I'm using this stamp here, the screen. Now, I don't want the whole thing covered. I'm just looking to add a bit of a border to my card. I'm using the Distress Oxides in Broken China. And so when I'm putting it onto my stamp, I'm just going to sort of put it random. Around the edge. So you might be able to see some of that blue on the stamp. You can see I didn't cover the whole stamp. I'm now going to lay my card onto the stamp. I find when you're stamping these background stamps, it's easier to put the card to the stamp than the stamp to the card. And I'm just going to burnish with my fingers. Like that. So I got it a little off. It's more high, low. So if I was doing it, I'd go more over top of it to check it out. But I'm going to go with it. And now because this ink is a wetter ink, I'm going to use my finger now and I'm going to smudge. So this is where I can add some color to that bottom and work it in. And I can take the ink that's on my finger, and because I'm using a watercolor paper, it has that texture, and I can bring it closer into my card. So it sort of fills it in without having that stamp texture over it. But again, I'm still leaving room in the middle. So like that. So the next thing I want to do is completely dry this ink before I move on. So I'm going to dry it with my heat tool. So the next thing I'm going to do is add that stamp. And it's this stamp here from the set Country Garden Art. I'm using my Tim Holtz stamping platform and I have it set to rubber because I'm using a rubber stamp. So because I'm going to stamp a bit off of my card, I'm actually going to place my card in the middle of the platform. Here we have the stamp, so I want a bit of this in it. So I'm just going to cut it off near the side. So I'm thinking maybe something like that. So most of the stamp is on. I'm just cutting off a little bit. Keeping it there. I'm going to close it so it will pick up my stamp. Let's move that out of the way. And I'm using regular distress ink in Evergreen BOUGH. I thought it would be appropriate for the holidays. So I'm applying my ink, making sure the stamp gets nice and inked. Now this may take me a couple stamping tries, so we're going to stamp once. Yes, it's partially due to the paper. I'm using, as I mentioned before, the watercolor paper. And so when you're working on a textured paper, you need to stamp a couple times to get that nice solid stamp. I'm going to go one more time. We're getting there. And that's the great thing about using stamping platforms, is I can go back multiple times. And I'm going to leave it at that. It just adds a little texture there that I'm good with. So take my stamp off. I'll clean that after. And the next thing while I'm here is I'm going to stamp my greeting. And I'm going to use Season's Greetings from the Hero Arts set. It's an older set called Holiday Sayings. I've been using this for a few years. And it's just one of those great sets to have around. You can use it over and over again. And I'm just going to stamp Seasoned Greetings down there in the corner. To do that though, I'm going to quickly just rotate this so we're now on the clear stamp side. I'm going to see if it's straight. I might move it. That's a little straighter. Let's see. Okay, we'll go with that, see what happens. There, nice. Okay. So our stamping is complete. So the next thing to do is to add that little circle. And so I have, this is from Wendy Vecchi again, it's one of her stencils. And I used the second circle. And so I'm just sort of lining it up. I'm using this circle here. Maybe something like that. And then I just took my pencil and went around and made dots. And it's okay because what I'm putting over it is an opaque substance or dot, crystal dots. So we won't see those pencil marks after. This circle stencil is great for so many things. If you didn't want to use crystal dots, you could actually stitch the circles if you like to add stitching to your card. Like that. So here I have my crystal dots. I'm using Carnation Pink. This is a gloss. Going to just make sure the air is out of it. Okay. And then I need to just make little dots. Around. So I'm going to finish making my dots. I'm doing the same thing over and over again. I don't think you need to watch. So I'll come back when I have my dots completed. So I finished my dots. I'm going to let that sit and dry for a bit. In the meantime, you can prepare your trees. I'm using Wendy's matte minis. There were 2 sets of trees in here. And what I did is I used my Shabby shutters and I just inked the background of my tree. And then I used the MOWED lawn with the herringbone stamp. And I inked up my stamp and placed the tree on it. I find that's the easiest way. And that's how I got the texture on my trees. So then to finish it, I just placed my tree down. And on this tree, I added some dimensionals, and that just lets it raise up on top of the other tree. So you just place your trees on and you have your completed card. But since my dots are wet, I'm going to just leave it for now. But that's how you finish up your card. So I hope this gives you some ideas of ways you can go and look at your non-Christmas stamps to see what you have and add them to your holiday cards this season. Thanks for watching. Be sure to give our video a thumbs up and subscribe to Scrap Time videos on YouTube. In the meantime, here are a couple other videos you might be interested in watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.